Hello and welcome to Following Truth. As always, I'm your host, LJ. Again, this is another look at some of the mental health issues and problems. This is one of the things I'm doing on this channel, is trying to create a place for people with mental health issues and with problems that they need help with. And so we're going to be looking in this particular video at some of the treatments, some of the therapies that are available for those that struggle with mental health issues. So if you are struggling with mental health issues, this is a place where you can come. You can listen. You can come on and you can talk. This is a place for people to come together and just be there for one another. And it doesn't matter really whether it's just mental health issues, but if you're struggling with anything, any kind of issues that you're struggling with, which are affecting your life, this is a place where you can come together, and other people are also struggling. I myself suffer from different mental health issues. So this is a place where we can just come together, and you are more than welcome to just be here to listen, or you can, if you wish, and I will create that now. I should have already done it, but I will do that now. I will post this into the comments. So this is a link. So if you would like to come on and be part of the discussion, if you need to talk to somebody, I'm not a trained therapist. It's an area that I'm studying at the moment. So it's something that I'm really interested in. It's something that affects me. But if you would just like to discuss, then obviously you are more than welcome. But you are also welcome to just sit if you just need to know that you're not alone, and just listen as well. Now, this video could be 20 minutes. It could be 2 hours. It depends on kind of the interaction that we get in the chat, or obviously whether somebody wishes to come on, they can do so. But that is basically what I'm trying to do with this channel at the moment, is try to create a place where people that are lonely or struggling and just need somebody to listen, or need to know that other people are there listening, or if you need some advice. Now, like I say, I'm not a trained therapist, but we can have a look together at some we can look together at some of the treatments that are available. We can find those online. So if you need help, 20 hours. Yeah. Do you know what? I would, if we had enough, if we had people that were coming and discussing, I would happily do a 20-hour discussion. Now, I am going to be going back on Sunday to try and do one of my Christian streams. So if you are interested in my Christian studies, then I'm going to be doing one of those on Sunday. So this channel is predominantly Christian, but you don't have to be Christian to or have any belief, to be honest, to take part in the Christian studies and the looking into the different aspects of that. But this particular study, it's not really so much of a study. It's just like I say, a place for people to be together. So yeah, if people were involved in discussing and wanted to be part of this, then a 20-hour. I have a pint of coffee right now, so I'm happy to fire away with a 20-hour coffee on, and just talk. I'm happy to do that if that's what people need. So let's do it. Let's start. Let's go. I'm okay with that. But again, Doki, as always, welcome. Thank you for being here. Because I know that Doki is he frequents a lot of different channels, so he has a lot of different things that he's looking at and studying and watching and everything. So Doki to be here is always a pleasure, and always appreciated that he gives up his time where he could be off looking at other people's channels, people much more studied, much more educated, and probably a lot more fun to be around than me. But he comes, and I appreciate every minute that he's here. So thank you very much for being here. Hello, Narrow Path of the Truth. Hello, I had a person that contacted me, and he asked me a question. He asked me if a pastor should have a role, a therapist. I basically agreed with him. What do you think about it? It's okay. It's not a problem that your English is not your first language. Should a pastor have a role as a therapist? I don't think that it's something that is a necessity for a pastor to be able to offer therapy. Now, a good pastor should, a pastor as a therapist. I think that a pastor should be there for people. A good pastor is obviously there to teach the Bible and to help people with their faith. And if we're talking about a Christian pastor, then we're talking about a pastor that should be there for their congregation in all kind of ways. And I don't think that it would be wrong for a pastor to have a study into therapy, because you should be, because probably a Christian pastor would come from it from a slightly different view as well, because obviously they would be they would need to include obviously Jesus and God within that their therapy, because obviously a Christian has God and Jesus in order to help them. They have the Bible and there are teachings. It's a tough one. I would say that that a pastor is there for his congregation in all ways. I think that a pastor doesn't necessitate that a pastor has to study therapy, but I think that being able to help his congregation, her congregation, when they are struggling, because it isn't, a pastor shouldn't just be there to stand in front and teach, but they're a role model. They are somebody that people look up to as well, not just in a biblical sense. So when people are struggling, I know that people look to their pastors. So yeah, I don't see any problem with with them, and I think that they should at least sit down with that person and say, right, okay, let's look at what kind of help. I'm not able to help you because I haven't studied into any kind of therapy, but let's sit down. I can listen. I can offer you from a biblical perspective. Jesus talked about things like saying, stop worrying about tomorrow. Today has enough problems. Tomorrow, the thing is that tomorrow is never going to come. We're only ever dealing with today. So we only deal with the things that happen to us today. We can't, if we focus on tomorrow, and I've done this myself so many times. I've focused on tomorrow and what I have to do tomorrow and the things that I've got to do. And it takes away from today. It takes away from your enjoyment from today. Maybe you don't have things to do today and you have time to enjoy yourself, but you're focusing on tomorrow and it takes away your joy from today. So I think that we need to look more at today, and I think the teaching of Jesus, and one day I'll do a more in-depth look at what Jesus actually meant when he said about that. He basically started his question with equating a mentally sick people as being dangerous. I think that this is a misconception with mentally sick people. That's why pastors are afraid of such people. I think today, modern understanding of what mental illness is, it's a much broader spectrum of what constitutes as mental illness. Maybe in the past, those that have been what would be considered dangerous people would have been considered the ones with mental illnesses. And then you would just get your weirdos, your weird people in the past. Whereas now we look at those, what we would have said were weird, that possibly they may be on a spectrum of some kind of mental health issues. Not all mentally sick people, and I'm not sure that would be language that I would want to utilize. Mentally sick people, I think even saying mentally ill is the thing is that people are, when you're struggling, when you have issues, they are illnesses. I wouldn't like to utilize the term sick, and I certainly wouldn't go around with that all kind of mentally ill people. Probably people with mental illness is a better way of stating it, and not all people with mental illnesses are going to be dangerous people. I like to consider myself non-dangerous. That I do have mental health issues. Yeah. The only reason why I'm not sure that I would like to say mentally sick people. That's just for myself. Now, other people, people utilize all different languages, and especially if English is not your first language, then don't worry about that kind of thing. It's focusing on the wrong thing, but. I know what you mean, and honestly, don't worry about it. It's not an issue at all. That was just my own self saying that. But yes, pastors should. I think they should be involved in more aspects of their congregation's lives, and they should be looking at helping people that are struggling. Now, they should be looking at helping people. Now, it depends again, like on how big their congregation actually is. If you have one pastor and they have 20 people in the church, you know, 3 or 4 of those are struggling, or you know, or they need help in different ways. A pastor has other things to do, so you know, looking at helping 3 or 4 people probably is something that is manageable. If one pastor has 60 or 70, 80, 90, 100, you know, or a bigger church, then, you know, you're obviously going to get people that are, you're going to get more people that are struggling, whether that be, you know, mentally or financially. Is going to be a little bit more of a job for a pastor to be able to do like a one-on-one type of help with those types of people. But I do think that a pastor should be there for his congregation, especially if that is like their full-time job. If that is their role, if they are a paid pastor, or you know, if they have a church and they're being looked after by their congregation as well, by, you know, people giving money and things, I think they should be there for their congregation. I think I would be. Now, I'm not a paid pastor, and I'm here. I'm trying to look at different aspects of mental health issues, and try to be there for people, regardless of whether I'm capable of helping them in a way or not, or just, you know, I just offer them somebody to talk to. We can point them at the correct available help, because it's a really difficult thing, I think, for certain people, is when you're not thinking straight, who to call, who's there for you. This is a difficult thing. So yeah, I'd like to be there, and even if I cannot help, then I'd like to try to find help that is available for people. And that's what we're doing in this particular video, was going to go through some of the treatments that are available. But so you say, I basically think that not just pastors should be involved, as I believe that most of the mental issues come from loneliness and lack of social cohesion in general. Do you know, loneliness is an issue itself. People today I'll start looking into the studies and show the evidence of it. But actually, I think today people are more lonely today than they have been for probably the human history. We have all access to all of this kind of technology and everything, but people are lonely, because even when they're with people, they're not really connected. So I think loneliness is an issue. Basically, I and him agreed that psychotherapy is most of the time the methods that are close to the religions of the East. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Hey LJ, I think that some pastors, maybe they don't know how to deal with people with mental illness and how to help. Yeah, of course. It's a completely different area, dealing with mental health issues, and obviously teaching the Bible. But those who are pastors, they obviously believe in a higher power. They believe in God, and they believe in the Holy Spirit, and so I think that in a certain way, it does kind of go together. And at least for Christians, I think that they should. When I did my therapy, this CBT therapy, it was completely secular. There was no God involved in that, which was fine because that was what I was doing. But I do think that for Christians, they do have something else to call on other than just therapists. They do have pastors. They do have a congregation to be able to call upon, and so when people are struggling, I think that there should be a link to the church through pastors, through the congregation, where support is offered. If religion of the East helps with teachings of Christ, should most definitely help. I agree. If you're Christian, if you're not Christian, then maybe it's not something that you might not want to be involved in. To have a Christian, somebody Christian offer you God, you want a more secular. So it all depends on your own personal circumstances and your own personal. Now, for me, being Christian, I would offer God and the Bible and stories from the Bible, but that's just me. But somebody that isn't Christian may not even want to take part in something like that anyway. Health issues with having an unhealthy body is another issue, and it is the issue of unclean spirit matters like promiscuity. Yeah. There are so many different mental health issues, and we looked at some of these in the last video that I did. I don't know. Narrow path of the truth. The name kind of indicates that you are a Christian. I won't take that as fact. Maybe you can confirm that whether you are or not. But I don't know if you're having mental health issues or whether that was just a discussion you were having with your pastor. Anna says, in my country, pastors often do not want to help such people. I know such examples. They are afraid. It's a hard subject, even for me. I'm trying to be careful with, like, when I'm talking. I don't, because the problem is that I am not a trained pastor. I'm not a trained pastor, but I'm not a trained therapist, and it's if you're taken to be giving advice on this type of thing, you can get yourself into serious trouble. So it's something that not, maybe not legally, probably legally, but even, let's say, forget legal side of it. Let's say that you're unstudied, and you offer somebody some kind of advice that they take and it goes wrong. That's a big responsibility. And so I can see why pastors would not want to be involved in that side. I can see it. It doesn't mean that it's right, and it doesn't mean that they shouldn't try to help. But I can see why, in today's society of people suing people and people being silenced all over the place for saying things that they are offensive, or YouTube just takes down channels, or people are banned from social media and all this kind of thing. Is a tricky thing. It's a tricky thing. So it's a very hard position to be in, and I'm sure that some pastors would like to help, but they don't feel that they have the ability to do so. And then there are probably pastors who think, well, it's got nothing to do with me, and so they will just ignore it. And I think any pastor that isn't interested in their congregation, isn't interested in the well-being of their congregation, is not a very good pastor for me. So if I went to my pastor and said, look, I'm struggling with health issues, mental health issues, I need somebody to talk to, and they basically pushed me off, and I'd probably not be interested in going back to that church. Now, I'm not saying that what I would expect is that pastor to turn around and say, "Oh, okay, LJ, right, let's sit down, let's go through a therapy session." But I certainly would expect that the pastor would be there offering me, God as my ultimate source of healing, and at least to say, right, okay, let's I'll look into the help that is available for you. Have you looked into help? Do you need somebody to talk to? I'm here. Okay, let's have a chat. Now, I'm not going to be able to offer you proper, therapy, but I'm here to listen to you. If you need somebody to talk to, then I'm here. So I would hope that a pastor would be willing to do that. And if they weren't, then I'd probably be looking to find another church to go to. Doki and Anna say hello. Thank you very much, Doki. Much appreciated. As always, you are very, very kind. It is very much appreciated. And Doki is what he's just all over the place. So many different videos that places I go and Doki pops up. I'm not even sure exactly where Doki, where the first time I don't know if it was maybe on Nick's channel. That was maybe the first time me and you, that I came across you, and then you kindly came to my channel, which was always, like I say, very much appreciated. It was standing for truth, it may have been, but I think it was on Nick's channel. So yeah, you are a Christian. I was having a discussion with a new friend I'm sorry that my writings was not clear. No, I think mental health issues might come from the unhealthy body and unhealthy actions. Look, there's no question about it that our lifestyle, things that we do, things that happen, affect us. Right? There is no question whatsoever about that. Now, I think that there are people that were born with issues in the brain. I don't think there's any question on that. Just like some people are born with one arm or one leg. They have deformities, physical deformities. Now, these are abnormalities. All right, people are meant to have two arms. They're meant to have two legs. If they're not born with two arms and two legs, then this is an abnormality from the norm. And we know that humans have two eyes, they have a nose, they have a mouth. If a human is born without any of this, two ears, these are deformities. But it happens. It happens at birth. It happens there's a deformity that happens in the growth of that child, that person. Now, I'd utilize person rather than like fetus, or inside of still inside of the mother. To me, it's a person. Other people may disagree with that, but for me, that's a person. So when that person is growing, there are deformities. Now, there are physical deformities, but then there are also mental deformities that human beings can go through. And I do believe that people are born with those deformities, the mental deformities. But I also think that situations, life, can create deformities. These are different types of deformities than those that are born with them. Just like somebody born with one arm has a deformity, right? But it's a one that they're born with. But then somebody born with two arms can lose an arm during their lifetime through an accident. Something can happen. They can lose their arm, and then that becomes a deformity. In the same way as the human brain can have problems later on, they can develop problems. So I do think that foods we eat can have an effect on us. They can obviously have an effect on our weight. People who become overweight they have other issues. So maybe they can't go out as often, so they're not meeting people, so they become lonely. Or maybe they have very low self-esteem because people make fun of them. There are just, there are lots of different things in life that can create issues with mental issues. And I think that, things like depression and these types of things, they are created, they're life created. So yeah, definitely. I had mental issues that the Christ kind of helped me, or is that meant Christ King helped me, or Christ kind of helped me? Not entirely, at least. I try to be healthy of what I eat and do not sin, as I think it's important to be mentally healthy as well, of course. So yeah, these are things that, for a Christian, in a Christian sense. And Anna says that God helped her too. So I am a Christian, but I think I've had my issues with God. So for me, it's not something that I turn to when I am struggling. He's not somebody. Do I know Nick Vujicic? No, I do not know that name. I have not heard that one at all. So you'll have to let me know, Anna, exactly who that is. Whether that is, I can look that up. Everyone should feel they are loved and accepted. That would help a lot. It would really help a lot. Okay, is this the guy that that is a pastor? He's actually, I think, if I know, I didn't know his name, but I know of the guy. He's married. He has a life, lives as normal a life as he can. I'm pretty sure I know. I didn't know his name actually, but yeah, I think I know who you're now talking about. But yeah, everyone should feel like they are loved and accepted. Unfortunately, in this world where I think that possessions and things seem to be more important than people, that's not the case. It's a sad case, but it is unfortunately the case. Now, I'm just going to... So, what I want to do... Inequality. Oh, so OG Skywatch. Thank you very much for being here. That's a new name to me, OG Skywatch. So we have a couple of new people here today. I don't know if I do know you or that's just a different name. I don't know. I haven't seen that name before, but welcome. Thank you very much for being here. You are more than welcome. Yeah, the inequality and the cult of self is a serious issue. And it does affect people's lives and their livelihood, especially when you're kind of judged in this kind of society on how much money you have, what kind of car you drive, what the house you have, how many friends you've got, and all of this kind of stuff. And when people are just normal people, they don't have these kind of things, and then they're kind of like looked down upon, or you're thought of as a less person or a failure. People... I say this as could be a sexist thing, but men have always been, in the past, they've always kind of been the one that provided for women. Nowadays, that's obviously different, and women go out, earn their own money, and that's all fine. But for men, it is still there within them that they're the ones that take care of the family. They're the ones that bring in the money. They're the ones that look after their family. And if they are not providing that luxury house, that lovely car, those beautiful holidays, but it's they can feel a failure, and it can really affect people when they feel like they are a failure. Yeah, exactly. It's a celebrity culture, competition based society where you're always that way, when you're always looking at the at somebody else who's got more than you. You're never going to appreciate what you've actually got because you're always wanting what you don't have, and you're not that way. You're not looking at what you have and becoming happy with the things that you actually have. I don't know why it didn't, but it didn't save. So I shall repost it in every now and again. This is the link to anybody that would like to actually come on and talk. If you're in need of somebody to just listen while if you're struggling, if you have mental health issues, if you know somebody with mental health issues, this is just a place where people can come together and other people can help them. They can listen, they can talk. Like I say, I'm not a trained therapist, but I am somebody that has mental health issues. I am somebody that has gone through certain kinds of treatments, therapies, and I'm just interested in kind of creating a place where people can come together and they don't have to feel alone. They can feel accepted, and if you want to chat, you can, but obviously there is no need, there is no requirement for anybody to talk and open up and say anything that they don't want to say. But you are more than welcome to come on and talk if that's something that you would like to do. But thank you very much for everybody that has come today, especially the new faces, the new people that I've not spoken to before. For your inputs, I appreciate it. But yeah, this kind of culture that we live in, where it's all about bigger and better, and it creates an environment where people cannot be happy with what they have. And there's a book that I read recently, and I'm going to go through this book because this book is a very, very good book. It's not that big, but it's by a woman called Dr. Olivia Reams, or Remes. I think it's Reams. And in one of the chapters of this, she talks about always about the striving and not being happy with what you have, and how that affects people. So it's something that I'm going to go through the book at some point, because I think it's a very good book to read, and there are a lot of good points that she has in that book. So I would definitely recommend reading it. I did enjoy that. Okay, so let's Okay, thanks for the appreciation. It was weird that my new friend started to talk with me about mental health issue. Maybe that's the Holy Spirit works through you and him keeping awareness of the problem. Sometimes things come up to us and we don't really know why. And then later on, the same thing will happen, and it will come up. I don't believe in coincidences, per se. Sometimes not specific ones anyway. So if your friend is talking with you about mental health issues, if you've had mental health issues and you're here today listening to this video, listening to me, then don't take that as a coincidence. Now, I don't know how you found me here, whether you've come on to, have you been, I'm not sure, have you been on the channel on the Christian teachings? Maybe you've been here before. Okay, so Faithful has been talking about mental health issues. I didn't even know that Faithful was talking about mental health issues. So yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, I did think that maybe you have been here before. So, but you are welcome, and like I say, I appreciate you being here, and I'm glad that you are. And if you are struggling with mental health issues, then I'm glad that you're here. And if it's something that you've struggled with in the past, then I'm hopefully you are past that, and you've come out the other side, and you're stronger. So I do hope that. Right. Okay. So let's now. Let's do this. There we go. So, and at any point, I'm gonna go through some of the mental health problem, the treatments that are available, some of the things that are available. At any point, anyone can jump in and discuss something that I've been brought up, or if you've got something else you want to talk about, feel free to do so, and we'll stop and we'll. It is OG Skywatch. I agree. It is a thing. It is being an alive issue. It is an issue that actually, as I pointed out in my other video, there are 1 billion people on the planet that would be identified as having mental health issues. 1 in 8 people on the planet, and those are ones that are registered. Those are ones that would be accepted as having mental health issues. I think that maybe there are more than that. Depends on how far up the spectrum, or whether somebody who is, somebody who might be in a very, very low state, that they're feeling bad, they're not getting on well with life, they're not doing well at life, but they wouldn't consider themselves to have a mental health issue. So I think maybe as well, it depends on people. Some people might consider them to be depressed, and they might not think of themselves as being depressed. They're just sad. So yeah, I think that I think it's probably more than 1 in 8, but it's certainly, more than 1 in 8 people are struggling with issues, regardless of whether you would consider them to have a mental health issue or not. Sadness, loneliness, these types of things are just part and parcel of being alive. I think health issues not mental health, just health issues, which can then lead to people feeling down and stuff. So, but then you have the bipolar where people are really, really happy, and then obviously they come down and crash and stuff. So, Adoki again, every time, I'm almost to the point where I'm going to just bring up a mem to Doki and just say, appreciated, like a clapping mem every time he chucks a super sticker, because he'd probably get bored of me just saying thank you. But he knows how much I appreciate. Doesn't have to do it, and is very touching when, for me, for somebody that really struggles in life. I struggle in life. Somebody that struggles, somebody that finds doing videos difficult. I certainly don't find these easy to do. I'm not a confident person in that way. I suffer an anxiety, and like the build up to me doing a video is really difficult, because I know that I'm going to be doing one, and I get that anxiety, and I don't feel good. And it's not that I don't want to do the video, and I just get that knot in my stomach, and sometimes it just won't actually allow me to do one. And sometimes I have in the past decided, today I just can't do a video. So the fact that people come and watch my videos means so much to me. It's unbelievable how much every single person that watches one of my videos, whether it be live or in on playback on YouTube, I appreciate every single person that comes to my channel. Whether they agree with me, whether they disagree with me, with what I'm saying, and that's fine. But I still appreciate everybody for taking the time to be here. You all have other things to do, and yet you're here. And that is really, it's a touching thing. It's a thing that I find that really makes me feel good about what I do, and I like it, and I really do appreciate it. Well, I do feel down at times, but it's more based today. I can see some reasons why I feel down. It's more rational. Previously, I was feeling down, not knowing why I felt like I did. That is a really good place to be. If you can see why you're feeling down, and not just being down, that's a good place to be. Although you're still down, you might have, but it is a rational understanding of what is going on. Yeah. It's when the stress overcomes the person's ability to handle it. That's a really difficult place to be, when somebody's ability to handle what they're dealing with, and unfortunately that leads to very dark times, when somebody's ability to, sometimes somebody has the ability to deal with something, and I use this analogy often. I haven't said it here, but it's like sometimes somebody, their ability to deal with stress and something is high, it's strong, but when it's constant, when it's something that is happening over and over again, it's like if somebody softly punched you to the arm. Now, if they really hit you to the arm, is your ability to take that pain might not might not be there. So that might cause you to like shout, ow, all right, or scream or cry. Some for others, it may not mean a lot. But if somebody tapped you on the arm, the likelihood is that that is not going to hurt. But if they did it over and over and over and over and over and over, eventually your arm is going to ache. Your arm is going to give up the ability to take that small punch and brush it off. Eventually a bruise is going to form, and it's going to cause issues with your arm. And that is the same with somebody's, sometimes their ability to deal with stress. They might have a strong threshold and they can deal with it, but if it's something that is ongoing and keeps going and it doesn't stop, then that can get draining, and they may not be able to continue on dealing with it. Like Chinese water torture. It's like the one drop of water on somebody's head may not affect them, but after 1,000 drops, after 10,000 drops, the ability to withstand that actually disintegrates, and it becomes much more difficult. Anna says that she agrees with OG Skywatch. But the stress is there for everyone. I think everyone has some kind of stress. Even happy millionaires have some kind of stress. They just have a lot more reward for it, and they may be able to deal with it because they can delegate to somebody else. Everybody's situation is different. Do you know, it's surprising because, like, you speak to people and, mental health issues seems to be, it's definitely increasing, and especially after the pandemic, mental health issues are definitely on the increase. Yeah, and sometimes stress does break people. It will break people. Some people have got shorter ability to deal with it, and some people have got more stress to deal with. So both of those can end up really harming somebody. OG Skywatch, most of the very creative people and the great people before being great had a mental breakdown. Sometimes it might be good process. Yeah, I said this in my last video. You look, I don't know where people are from, but I'm a big football fan, like soccer, football fan, English football, not the American football type. And some of the world's greatest players that have ever lived have suffered from mental issues and addictions and problems and dealing with life, and yet they were blessed with money, fame, and a really good life. But you go to singers and things like that. It doesn't, just because you're famous and you have a lot of money, doesn't take away from the fact that life can affect people, and even money and fame doesn't necessitate that you're going to live a happy life. And sometimes that fame and fortune can actually be a hindrance for certain people, and it can cause them stress and cause them mental health issues. Humans were tribal for a million years in structural. Now we only have cults abusing that instinct. Yeah. Because we have been isolated. Well, that comes along with the whole pandemic and isolation, which really, really affected people's mental health. Creativity comes from an open mind, while ignorance can be a kind of bliss. Tungji, thank you very much for being here. As always, much appreciated. As always, just another one of those people that come to the channel and is appreciated. Trauma-based mind control is a real thing. I agree. That's a good point, OG. Jonathan, welcome. Thank you for being here. I am tired. Been doing a lot of staying up and reading, and so, but yeah. Thanks for being here. Media and government are using it now for us to hate Russia and China. Meanwhile, nuclear weapons, scary times. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't go down that road of that kind of discussion. Otherwise, I will end up getting blocked and taken off of YouTube. So even discussions that maybe we would like to have, sometimes we just can't have on these types of platforms, unfortunately. Because money doesn't make you happy. No. Money only buys, money gives you the ability to buy and do things that should make you happy, or makes it easier for you to do things that should make you happy. The problem is that we live in such a society where, for some reason, we can't be happy doing things that come free. But you know, if a car is going to make you happy, money is going to allow you to buy a nice car. If you really want a nice house, obviously money is going to be able to do that. I don't think that the reality of having those things. Now, in the past, I have run my own business, and I was quite successful at certain points of my life, and I had a nice house and had a nice car, and I did have money, and I was able to go on nice holidays and things, but I wasn't a happy person. I wasn't happy. So money won't make you happy. If you're not a happy person, money is not going to make you happy. Jonathan, do you know that's a really sad. That in fact, actually, of all of the things that people have said, that one is that's the saddest statement of all. Because I think that for a lot of people, myself included, we don't know what makes us happy. What makes us happy? I think that we often look to things that we think are going to make us happy. What will make us happy? You know, today, if I had an extra X amount of money, I would be happy. Would you? Would you really be happy? If you're not a happy person, money is not going to make you happy. Look at the likes of some singers, Kurt Cobain, for instance, and if you're not a happy person, I don't think fame and fortune will make you one. So we do need to look at ourselves. What is going to make us happy? And I don't think chasing after the car, chasing after the house is what is going to make you happy if you're not, because that isn't what's not. That's not what's making you sad. It's a really difficult statement, that, Jonathan, and I really feel for you, because I know what that feels like. I know what that feels like, so I really do feel for you. Then there's the whole UFO thing. Yeah. I don't know if I agree, but I think that God might be involved in sending some things that people call mental health issues. Sometimes what we call a curse is a blessing. That depends. To a certain degree, I probably might agree with that. My internet might be crashing. Hopefully my internet is not crashed. No, it seems to have come back. I think that sometimes, from that Christian point of view, if you're looking at it, I think sometimes God has to allow us to try to come to the points and realizations that material things, are not what is going to make you happy. And sometimes that might mean that we don't get those material things that we think that we crave. Yeah, monetization of things is a massive issue. Everything seems to be about money nowadays. It's just about making more and more and more money for the rich and the rich, and less money for the normal everyday person. And the problem with that is that when you're, I say, it isn't the money that is what is going to make you happy, but it's the things that the money can give. Now, let's say that you're in a position where you're only just about making enough money to pay rent or bills or whatever you have. That's a stress. Now, it isn't the money that, like, having more money is not going to make you happy. It's the ability. It's the fact that you're not worried about paying your bills that allows you to not be as stressed. It isn't the money itself. It's the thing that the money then allows, in the sense that you're not living in stress, and so it's you have less stress, so you have less issues and less problems. For example, my brother, he says bipolar, and he have depression states. You might say that's awful to a degree. He is relief from addictions in his depressed states. So if he doesn't have depression, so if he's depressed and he doesn't have addictions when he's depressed, then if he's an addicted person, then is that a blessing? Is that yeah, I see to a certain degree, and it is bipolar. This is what I was diagnosed with when I was younger. It is it's a horrible thing, to 1 minute just be as high up as you can possibly feel, and then like just crash from that. But addictions itself is an issue, and so if being depressed then stops you from being addicted. Which one is worse? Which one is better? Obviously, you want to be relieved of both of those. And obviously, if you were depressed and addicted, that would be even worse. It makes me happy when I can help people and see their happiness. I feel good when I see someone smiling. And that's a very biblical thing. So I know that we're going like a little bit biblically side of it, but it's a very biblical thing where Jesus talks about being to give to the poor, and when you give, when you look after somebody, then you're doing it to him. Those that look after other people, and this is what when he said about the darkness in your eye, the light of your eye. This was a Hebrew terminology that he was utilizing, that was actually talking about giving, and the light in your eye it was actually a terminology which revolved around giving, and being generous, and Paul talks about God likes a cheerful giver. Now, we're not told in the New Testament to give out of compulsion, but we give because we want to do so, and because we see people that are like the Good Samaritan. We had the Good Samaritan. Who was the Good Samaritan? Was it the Jewish rabbis? Was it the Jewish Pharisees? Or was it the guy that was considered, a dog and not even worthy of being part of the Israelites, the Israel and the Jews? They wouldn't even have dealings with them, and yet that obviously the Good Samaritan comes along and helps that Jewish person out. So this is all part of a biblical mindset, to see someone else happy, to see someone else that you've helped that was in need, and that you've helped them, is a very biblical thing. It's better to give than to receive, Anna. So that's I guess natural thing of yours. Do you know, we actually do get a better endorphin release when we actually give to somebody and make somebody else happy than when we receive something. It's when we receive something, that happiness, that thing lasts kind of as long as you're unwrapping and you get it and you go, oh yeah, right. But when you've given, it lasts much longer. The feeling of goodness actually lasts longer. My mum always says that it's not what you're doing, it's who you are doing it with, and that is true. Also, very, very true. It's a good statement, that I will say. I used to be a Christian. I've moved past it, learned a lot about esoterics behind religions and their mistakes, etc., and I'm more Wicca, where nature is God and consciousness. Obviously, this is following my channel is following truth and Christian. I believe obviously in God, and I'd have Bible teachings and everything on that's my main thing on my channel. But I have Christians, non-Christians that come and watch, and this is completely different thing anyway. This is our relating around mental health issues and stuff. So this, you do not need to be Christian in order to watch my channels, to be involved, especially in the mental health side of it. I appreciate every single person that is here, whether they agree with my position on, Christian faith or whether they don't. Even on my biblical studies, I'm more than happy for people to come into my channels and talk with me and tell me why they disagree. And so I don't like conflict. I don't want arguments and stuff, but I like discussion, and it's always interesting when people disagree with me, or they have different beliefs and they want to discuss those, and I'm always happy to do so. And I've got quite a few non-Christians that come to my channel and listen, and I appreciate them just as much as any Christian that comes to my channel. So you do not have to be. You're more than welcome here, and I'm glad that you're here. And while I will obviously disagree in my position on that, I appreciate you being here. So yeah, don't think that when God is brought up, it should have any bearing on whether you're welcome here or not. Narrow path of truth. I know many people who have more opportunities to help others, but they are so materialistic that the bad situation of others is not important to them. The thing is that there are people that are in a blessed situation and they have a lot of money and they have the ability to help, and there are people that do. So there's no issue for, I know that people do help. They definitely, people with money do help other people. It doesn't mean that everyone does, but it doesn't mean that everyone with money doesn't help. The thing is that if less people had all the wealth, if that was distributed more people would have money, and so people with money would need to help less, because more people would have money. But we have this thing where we're just, and it's getting worse and worse. The more that money is central, is kind of honed into the top of the pyramid, the more money actually goes to the top of the pyramid. The more power that is that goes to the top of the pyramid, the more power will go to the top of the pyramid. Is just a fact, because all of the small businesses are closing down. So there's all the money that was spent in those small businesses is now going to the big businesses to make the big corporations even richer. And those people that had their own businesses earning their own money are now working for the corporations, the big corporations. So, and that will just get worse and worse as there's less and less shops for people to go to. People will go to shops less and less, which will mean the shops will close more and more, which means people will have less and less places to shop, which means that more and more money will go to the big businesses, and the big businesses will get more and more bigger and richer, and more people who used to have their own businesses are going to be working for the big corporations. And so it's just perpetuating. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And that's been happening for a very, very long time. So right, where were we? Don't even know where we were. When you love Gaia, she does give love back, and you see things with new eyes. Okay. Most primitive cultures see giving things as a privilege. For example, if you save someone's life, you have, as these cultures see, it's privilege to feed him, and so on. Yeah, well, there's like life debts and things like that, where people will, like, you are basically, you become somebody that they will look after. That is contrary to what we believe. We feel that receiving is more of a privilege, because we're told that is kind of constantly ingrained in people, that, you know, to buy things, buy this, and spend money, and buy stuff you don't want, buy stuff you don't need. The thing is that what happens is people, and I've been there and I've done that, where you think, right, I'll buy this and I'll be happy. And then it doesn't make you happy. And you think, well, why didn't that make you happy? Maybe, so I bought a car and it didn't make me happy. Maybe I didn't buy an expensive enough car, so I need a more expensive car, because that one's going to make me happy. And so even when you get the things that you were chasing, that should have made you happy, you end up not being happy. If I save someone's life, you have a privilege to give him further support. Okay. Yeah, but if you save someone's life, I mean, that should be a massive thing for you anyway. Whichever way. We are far more instinctual than people want to realize. We really are very tribal. It's sad. It's why nationalism is so dangerous. You made typos. Don't worry. I will write again. In primitive cultures, people see giving as a privilege. In our culture, we see receiving as privilege. Yeah. Saving someone's life in primitive culture is a good example. You have a privilege to sustain such a person and to give him more. Right. I agree with that. You know, in the Bible, Jesus talks about, if somebody asks you, you know, for your shoes, give him your coat as well. Somebody asks you to go a mile with them, go 2. Programming is a definite issue, and yeah, you know, nations or tribes, and we're very. The thing is that where does that stop? Because, you know, you can go, well, we're the whole world. Well, actually, we're continents. So if Europe is under attack, because, you know, you've got the EU and things like that, and United Nations and stuff. So then you've got countries, then you've got cities, and then you've got places within those cities, and we're very, it's all very national to the point of, we're definitely programmed, and we're told that, you know, you need to protect your nation, when we're all individual people, and we just happen to be born in one certain place on the earth. You know, we just end up, look at what's going on. I mean, we can't really mention anything kind of here, because I will get blocked, but so it's difficult to go into things like that. But yeah, a citizen of the ocean, or earthling, is how I try to see it. Yeah, we are just an earthling. We are just part of this planet, and we are all individuals, and we are a collective. And if we stop looking ourselves as countries rather than, Earth, and we're all born where we are. It doesn't matter what country you're born in. You are part of the human race. Is that simple? And it doesn't matter what color you are, what race you are, what nation you're from. You are just a human being at the end of the day. Okay. So we're going to go back to having a look at this page, which I did start looking at, and that was the treatment that is available for mental health issues. So this is from Mind, which is an organization in England, or the United Kingdom anyway. I think it's probably a United Kingdom rather than just England. It gives, so what treatments are available. This page gives an overview of the 2 most common forms of treatment offered through the NHS. So if you're in England, this is obviously in UK, this is part of the NHS. And so you've got talking treatments. These are things that they would talk. Talking treatments provide a regular time and space for you to talk about your thoughts and experiences and explore difficult feelings with a trained professional. This could help you to, obviously, like I say, I'm not a trained professional, so it's difficult for me to say certain things, because I certainly can't give advice, because I'm not a trained professional to be able to do that. But it could help you deal with a specific problem, cope with upsetting memories or experiences. Now, these are things that create issues. You've got a certain specific problem. That you're trying to deal with. They can create, like we've already talked about. So if somebody is poor, they don't have enough money to pay for their bills, then they can become stressed, and that can lead to mental health issues. But it can cope with upsetting memories or experiences. Psilocybin treatments are going to happen here in Oregon soon. They are already legal. I have no idea what that even is. So I have to look into that. It's not something I even. Magic mushrooms. Okay, yeah. Yeah. I have to be careful with, so I can't condone or something like that, because I get, I have to be so careful with what you say on the channel nowadays. But yeah, I in England that certainly is illegal. Now, I actually have heard of people utilizing that type of thing to self-medicate, using other substances as well, which in England are still classified as illegal. but utilizing certain substances that for self-medication. They definitely have been. I definitely have read and I've watched videos on that. And yeah, PTSD is certainly is a big topic, and this whole. I think that we should be open to whatever is available to help somebody. If something helps, regardless of what it is. Now I have my reasons. What that I have my beliefs of why certain things have become illegal. Because I think that the problem is that you have nature or versus pharmaceuticals, and if you can grow it yourself, you are not spending the money with the pharmaceuticals. So if you so for me, there are certain things that have been made to be illegal when they shouldn't be. Purely on the basis that there's no money available in it. Because if you can grow it yourself, you don't need anybody else to do it for you. But you cannot create that little tablet that the doctors like to give you. And when they give you that, and it costs money, somebody's making some money out of that. So I do have my theories on why certain substances may have become. I think my internet is struggling again. To apologize if I do go, I will come back. My internet is struggling here. Right, it seems to be on its way back. Okay, obviously, if my internet does go, the channel will stay open, but I may freeze for a minute or so, and then I will be back. So the talking treatments can help improve your relationships. Now, maybe you're having issues in a relationship that you need to talk about. So these talking treatments can help you to see what the issues are in your relationship, and maybe you can talk your way through them, find out whether those issues are you, them, what kind of issues those are, and what you would maybe need to do in order to be able to resolve them. Are they really an issue, or are you creating them to be issues? So again, the book that I showed earlier on, that talks about that type of issue for relationships as well. So I'm going to go through this book. I do recommend it. It is only a small book. I think it was 124 pages or something like that of actual writing. So I would definitely recommend reading it. It's not the most in-depth book you're ever going to read, but it's certainly actually, I will bring them back up. This one. So it's the Instant Mood Fix, Dr. Olivia Remes or Remes, and I certainly recommend that. Like I say, is not the most in-depth study and book you're ever going to read, but it's for a quick like little pick-me-up. It is definitely that's the name of the book, the Instant Mood Fix. So I definitely would recommend reading that one. But that talks about the the improvement of relationships. Develop more helpful ways of living day to day. Sometimes we have to look at the way that we are living, and are we actually helping ourselves as well? If you're waking up and you're not really doing anything that is going to kind of make your life easier, make your day better, then you are feeding into your own issues. So we have to help ourselves as well. We can't just rely on other people. We do have to help ourselves. We have to start looking at the way that we are living and the things that we're doing, and could we actually do something today that will help improve our own life? Can we do something today that makes our life better, makes today easier? And diet definitely plays a huge role. Now, if you're eating the wrong types of food, if you're eating too much, if you're not eating enough, then these are things that are obviously going to affect you. Now, if you're not eating enough, then you're not going to have enough energy to be able to perform your tasks. So this is definitely something that you need to look into. If you're eating too much, then this could increase your likelihood of putting on weight, which then makes doing other things more difficult. So we have to take into account all of our lives, each aspect of our life, and look at them and say, are there things that I can do to improve the way that I am living? Can I improve my mood? If you're so I drink a lot of coffee. I'm drinking one now. I'm drinking a decaf now, but I sometimes I went through phases where I was drinking 3, 4, 5 coffees a day. Now that I became kind of addicted to that. And actually what I found was that any time, once I'd started to drink 4 and 5 coffees a day, once I started, if I struggled, I was busy and I didn't manage to get those 4 coffees in, I managed to only get 2 coffees, I found that I started to get headaches. I started to wake up the next day lethargic. I was already struggling because I'd gone a day with a limited amount of caffeine. Now, what I now try to do is limit myself to 2 coffees, normal coffees, and then I would drink, if I want any other coffees, then I have decaf, because I know that if I drink more, I am actually affecting myself. One, I'm keeping myself awake at night, so which means I'm getting less sleep, which means that next day I'm more tired because I've had less sleep, and then I need coffee. But then when I'm not getting enough coffee, it was causing me problems the next day, and I really found that sometimes if I'd not had anywhere near the normal amount of coffee, then the next day was really, really struggle. So this is a thing that we have to understand, and we have to look at every aspect of our lives and say, is there things that we can change? Are we drinking too much alcohol? Are we drinking alcohol late at night? Too much, where we're waking up the next day and we have hangovers, where that then causes issues with that next day. So are the things that we're doing affecting our day-to-day living? Exercise. Yeah, I've got to be honest, I exercise maybe, but I've always done it. It's something I've always done regardless of how I feel. I exercise 4 to 5 times a week. If I don't exercise, I really, really feel bad. Even the days when I don't exercise, when I have to have a rest, because really you shouldn't be working out at the gym anyway for 6-7 times a week, unless you're like full-on bodybuilding type thing. Sometimes I actually just feel, well, I haven't been to the gym, and so my mind struggles because I haven't actually had my decent exercise. So maybe I'll just go. Luckily, with my job, I do quite a bit of walking, so I do get exercise just on a daily basis through walking. But exercise is definitely, not only is it good for obviously your fitness, not only is it good for your health, but it's also good for the mental health because it releases endorphins and stuff like that. So, do you know, I know people that fast and they swear by it, they love it, and I know some people that need to do it. I've never fasted. It's not something I've ever done. I have done, things like a cut for it where I've like trimmed body fat. But that's just a reduction of food during the day, smaller portions more regularly. But as a fast, it's not something that I have ever taken part in, and it, to be honest, something that I probably should look into. And why I've never done that, I don't know, because as you say, Jesus fasted, and it is part and parcel of a lot of people's lives, fasting. So fasting is a way to heal a mind and grow as well. Paradoxically, fasting increases growth hormones. Is interesting. It's not something I have looked into properly. Maybe it's something that I should, because people do tell me it all the time, actually. Yeah, I've been listening to the benefits of fasting, or even just eating once a day. They say insulin issues and type 2 diabetes linked into the heart disease is what's killing everyone. Well, they are definitely an issue. So that's definitely an issue. But yeah, fasting is maybe something that maybe on this channel that we can look into together. But obviously, it looks like some people here already have some kind of knowledge of fasting and kind of the benefits of fasting and what it can do for you. Is certainly not something I've looked into. I haven't looked into the health benefits of it. I haven't looked into the mental health benefits of fasting, and whether there are any, and whether the science and stuff would give anything on that. Certainly, as Narrow Path stated, Jesus did fast. So as the Christian side of myself, maybe it is something that I should look into. And if anybody has any knowledge of that, and then any kind of anywhere where we can look for that kind of information, then I'm more than happy to listen. See, okay, well, that's 3 people now already stated. Tongji, OG Skywatch, and Narrow Path have all mentioned fasting. So I will ask, for those 3 that have mentioned that, is that something that you do? Is that something you've done? Has it helped you? In what way has it helped you? So you know, what benefits have you seen? Is it like a mental thing? Is it a physical thing? What kind of benefits are there available? I'm going to look into the benefits of fasting. So I will do that. But yeah, so here, like say, develop more helpful ways of living day to day. And I'm going to go through more in details as we go into specific topics and specific subjects, looking at the things that we can do on a day-to-day basis that can benefit us, because that's, I think, really important, is taking today, waking up. There's a couple of things that, just revolving around waking up. Apparently, the snooze button on an alarm is a really bad thing, because what actually happens, and I'm going to support this whether it's true or not, and properly look into it, but I did read that when you press the snooze button and you drift back into sleep, so you've woken up. When you drift back into sleep, there's the thing called the sleep cycle. When you drift back into sleep from the snooze, your brain then goes back into sleep mode and actually puts you in a worse position than when you woke up the first time. Although, you say, oh, I don't want to get up yet, the alarm's going off, and you put it on snooze, I've got an extra 5 minutes. If you go and you fall back to sleep, your brain has now gone back into the sleep cycle. And if you wake up during that sleep cycle, your brain has not finished the sleep cycle, and it actually becomes, you've woken up before your brain is ready to do so. It thinks that it's going back into the sleep cycle, and so will go into that mode, and then it takes longer to come round and become fully conscious and be awake properly than if you would have just woken up with your alarm. Although you may not enjoy doing that, and you might have an extra 5 minutes. If you say that you have to get up at 7 o'clock, if you set your alarm for 6:50 and you know that you can wake up at 6:50 and then drop off, and your alarm will then wake you up at 7 and then you'll get up, it's better to just set your alarm for 7 o'clock and just get up at 7 rather than the 6:50 and then going back to sleep, because your brain is more awake. Although maybe it's harder, maybe it's harder to wake up once you've kind of gone back to sleep. Getting up from the bed. The first thing that people kind of do, and I've done it myself, the first thing you do, you wake up and your phone's there, and then you start looking through your phone. The best thing to do is to just get up. You're out of bed. You've got up on the first alarm. Now you've got up. You are now properly awake and up, and it's these are just little things that you can do to actually make the start of your day just that little bit better. Not thinking about all the negative things that you've got to do that day is another thing. So maybe there's things you don't want to do. Just don't go into that type of mode straight away. But we'll go through the things that you can do day to day, getting proper food. But we're having a look here. Mantras and positive affirmation can be helpful. Sleep and sleep rituals are also a huge topic. Yeah, that's a big topic for me because I suffer from insomnia. I go in and out of times when I get bad insomnia, and other times it's not quite so bad. And my sleep is terrible. So sometimes I will get 3 hours sleep, and other times I can get 6. If I get more than 6, I normally find that I'm worse. So I try to get between 5 and 6 hours, but that doesn't always happen. Sometimes I only get 3, 4 hours. I try not to get more than 6 though, unless I've had a real big crash, because maybe I've had like 4 or 5 nights where I've only had 2 or 3 hours, and then I need that maybe 7 or 8. But actually, I really do feel bad when I've had that anyway. Actually, fasting benefits make the word of Jesus very real. He said a man cannot do anything to prolong his life, but he can shorten it by, for example, frequent eating. Okay, I'll have to look into that now, Path. I will. And Anna says, yep, I agree with you. I always get up after the first alarm clock. The worst thing is to go to sleep, back to sleep again. Yeah, I got to be honest. Sometimes I'm so tired that I just do drift off again, and I do have the snooze alarm. I'm trying to get out of that, because it's actually only recently that I read that about the alarm thing, which obviously makes sense. But yeah, I did it today. I got up, my alarm went off. I woke up, I got up, and I started my day. And I got to be honest, I felt much better at the beginning of today. I didn't have a huge amount of sleep last night, but I have had a crash today where I needed a 20-minute nap, which I managed to get. And I'm feeling relatively tired now. I know that I won't go to sleep right at this moment. So it's probably going to be quite a while before I actually fall asleep eventually. Probably doing this kind of, this is kind of awakening. So you're awake when you're doing a video. And it does fill you with endorphins and a bit of a buzz type thing. So might not be the best thing to do before you're trying to go to sleep. You can try those Breathe Right nasal strips. Yeah, I have tried them. They didn't work for me. Yeah, I've tried a lot of different things, from herbal teas to sleep teas, and I haven't tried sleeping tablets. No, sorry, I have sleeping tablets. I have medication, actually prescribed ones, over the counter type sleeping tablets I've tried. Again, didn't really get on well with them. I have been prescribed sleeping tablets from the doctor, which I have refused to take. Didn't really want to get involved with taking that type of thing. There is only one thing that helps me sleep when I really, really need it. It's a certain substance, which I won't divulge, just on the basis of being blocked. But it is a natural product that grows, and it does help sleep. So yeah, Not very often do I utilize it, but I have done in the past, and it does help me sleep. There's no question. And I always wake up a little bit more refreshed. Snoring pretty much means you're having a hard time breathing, like waking up with a sore throat is how you might know. Yeah, I sometimes do wake up with a sore throat, and I know that I do snore at certain times. Other times, I know that I don't. So I think it depends. It often depends on obviously the position that I'm sleeping, and also how tired I am, and things like that. Whether I've had consumed any alcohol and stuff, that sometimes can affect and make me snore. Okay, so yeah, develop more helpful ways of living day to day. You may hear various terms used to describe talking treatments, including counseling, psychotherapy, therapy, talking therapy, or psychological therapy. So those are all kind of terms that can be utilized when we're referring to therapy. These terms are all used to describe the same general style of treatment. There are lots of different kinds of therapy available in the UK. So this is only dealing with the UK. Apologies to anybody that is kind of not in the UK. And it's important to find a style and a therapist that you feel comfortable with. Now, for those in other countries, they may find that that they have to search in different places. Like these types of therapies are available on the NHS, but there are obviously paid ones as well. And like I said, there it says that there are lots of different types of therapy, and it's important to find a style and a therapist that you feel comfortable with. Now, I had CBT therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, and I don't think that was a style that suited me. It wasn't something that I enjoyed doing, and it wasn't something that I felt helped me at all. In fact, I wouldn't even say that it helped at all. And I wasn't overly keen on the therapist. I suppose not the fact that they did anything wrong. No. Okay. So it wasn't really the therapist. It was a style that of the therapy on the online. It was very difficult to have any kind of connection with that therapist, because it was all the way that mine was done was online, and there wasn't really a proper connection. So I didn't enjoy doing my therapy. So I may look at doing some others at some time. Carl Jung and Freud were not friendly towards Christianity, to say the least. No, they weren't. Certainly not. The Catholic Church was very political. The Catholic Church is still very political. Is still very, very political. Yeah. Jung and Freud are the fathers of psychotherapy. Okay, so there we go. Cognitive behavioral therapy, which is what I did, which, like I say, didn't really help me. Then you've got so actually it said that there were 2 common forms of treatment. Okay, talking treatments and psychiatric medication. There you go. So medication. There you go. Medication. Those are the other available on the NHS. So there was the therapy that is available on there, and then straight into medication. So the most common type of treatment available is psychiatric medication. These drugs don't cure mental health problems, but they can ease many symptoms, and that's the issue that I've got about medication, because I've been offered antidepressants, and that's my issue with the medication, is that it is just you're just bandaging over the wound. You're not fixing the wound at all. You're basically just plugging it up. Surely we should be trying to deal with the problem itself. Why you have those issues? What we can do? Is there anything that we can help with, rather than just the medication? Now, I'm not saying that medication isn't going to work for a lot of people, but I think it's too easy to just give somebody medication and just say, right, here you go. And I'm not sure, because I don't think it was explained to me too much, that the medication is not going to actually cure you. It's just going to mask you and make you feel better for the time being, but it is just covering over the wound, and it's not really resolving it at all. Self-talk is a huge topic. Yes, it is a big topic. So antidepressants, those are the ones that I got offered. So those are most versus hearing voices if you go off the deep end. Yeah, luckily I do talk to myself. I shout at myself, and I tell myself off all the time for things that I do, and I question why have I done this and that. But at the moment, I haven't heard anybody talk back to me, apart from obviously my own self that basically agrees with myself most of the time, because some of the stupid things I do. These are most prescribed for people experiencing depression, which is what I have. Though you might also be offered an antidepressants if you're experiencing anxiety, just for anxiety. So it looks like you can take antidepressants if you have obsessive compulsive disorder or an eating problem, which is interesting. I didn't know that they would give you antidepressants if you had OCD. Yeah, of course. I think everybody does talk to themselves at some point. I am normally, when I do that, is because I'm telling myself off. Antipsychotics. These may be prescribed to reduce distressing symptoms of psychosis, schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, and sometimes severe anxiety. They are sometimes also prescribed for people experiencing bipolar disorder, as they can help control hypomania and mania. Two things to really look into: hypomania and mania. Sleeping pills, yeah, there you go, or mini tranquilizers. So these can help you sleep if you're experiencing severe sleep problems, or calm you down if you're experiencing severe anxiety. Mood stabilizers, including lithium. These can help stabilize your mood if you're experiencing extreme mood swings. For example, if you have a diagnosis of bipolar disorder, they may also be prescribed for hypomania and mania, and sometimes recurrent severe depression. Many people find these drugs helpful as they can lessen your symptoms and allow you to cope at work and at home. However, drugs can sometimes have unpleasant side effects. Now, this is also something that really needs to be spoken about when you're going to be taking a drug, when you're going to be given these types of things. It really needs to be explained, the side effects that can happen. That may make you feel worse rather than better, right? You're taking medication, they're offering you medication because you're already depressed, or you have OCD, or you have sleep problems, or you have anxiety, or you have all of these other things, schizophrenia, bipolar, yet they're offering you medication that have side effects that can make you feel worse rather than better. That is something that really needs to be explained to people. Of course, Naro, whether I answer it or not is obviously another thing. You can ask me a personal question. Anybody can ask me questions. You're more than welcome. I will try to be as honest as possible. But there are certain things that this is a live chat. This is on YouTube. This is for anybody to see. There are certain things that I may not wish to divulge, but I will promise. I do try to be as honest as I possibly can. So yes, please feel free to ask me a personal question. Tweaking the brain chemicals, serotonin inhibitors. Yeah. So I'm worried about taking medication, about the kind of side effects of it. Okay. When you feel bad, do you really do not know why do you feel bad, or why? I would say that it's kind of a mixture. I think that I'm a reasonably intelligent person. So I understand, and I have done kind of therapies, and I've kind of looked into this kind of issues. I think that I maybe know why I feel bad. Whether we know how to deal with that, I think a lot of people know why they're feeling bad. Some people are feeling really down, and they know it's because they don't have enough money this month to be able to pay all the bills, and they are working really, really hard. They're not being able to pay, and they know that the end of the month's coming, and they have issue. They don't have enough money. This causes stress, so they know why that their reason of their stress, or they are having problems with their partner, and they know why those problems are there. So I think that we do sometimes we do know why we're feeling bad, and we can look back at things that that have happened in our life that maybe have affected us. I've spoken in the past about my brother dying when I was young, being hit by a car. That clearly has had an effect on my life as a person, as I've grown older, knowing this type of knowing that I lost a brother, and growing up with that, I know that has created issues with my life. I know that my sleep is affected by the amount of caffeine that I consume, the amount of time that I'm exposed to like computer, the blue light type thing that affects people's sleep. I know that going to bed while listening to something, or going and reading and staying awake deliberately to do those types of things affects my sleep, which then affects my mood. So sometimes I think that I just feel down, but I think that I know the reasons. Ultimately, I think I know most of the reasons why I feel bad. Controlling that is a completely different thing. How do we control when we're feeling bad, feeling down? That's another thing. Knowing why we're feeling bad, I think is probably easier. Tongji, that's exactly. I don't utilize that as much as probably I should, and as much as I could, but it is something that I do at times, have done, and it does, and it has helped with sleep, and maybe I should try a bit more. Okay. So yeah, they can. So these tablets, this medication, can be difficult to withdraw from, or cause you physical harm if taken in too high a dose. So this is important for people to know. Before you take any medication, there's a big warning here. Make sure you have all the information you need to feel confident about your decision. For guidance on what you might want to ask your doctor about any drug before you take it, including your right to refuse medication. Melatonin helps too. Okay. Yes. You have the right to refuse medication. You don't have to take it if you don't want to. And I didn't. I did refuse it. I did refuse the medication because it wasn't something that I felt was right for me at that time. It may be something that in the future I do utilize. I'm trying different route. To be honest, I really don't want to go down the medication route. I have been reading some self-help books recently, which I think that have really been helping me. So I'm going to continue on doing that. I'm quite enjoying, like I say, I did enjoy that one, and I did. I'm really enjoying Anthony Robbins' Unlimited Power book. So I'm really enjoying that book at the moment. So yeah, I'm going to go through some books that I think that people should read for self-help. But there's so much to go to talk about and on self-help and this mental health issue. It's a big topic, and it's an enjoyable topic. It's something that I'm enjoying actually doing, and so I've appreciated everybody that has been here. I am going to actually finish here because I have some work to do. I'm actually taking care of a dog at the moment. It's part of my job. So I have to go and do that. So yeah, it's been like 2 hours and 15 minutes, which I think is a decent amount of time for this type of study. Hasn't quite been the 20-hour a-thon Doki, but 2 hours 15 minutes is pretty decent, pretty reasonable. Okay, so just last comment. Example: past trauma 5%, diet 15%, poverty 25%, loneliness 35%, 80% negative baggage to overcome. Of course, I mean, all of the things that we do, everything builds up, and it creates issues for us, and we do have to take a look at each part of our life. And actually, Anthony Robbins explains how to do that, and some of the other doctors that I've been reading. That I'm going to go through some of these books, and yeah, it is close enough. I would have probably stayed a bit longer if I didn't have other things to do, but I do need to go off and do those because it's like 11:20 now, so I need to go and do that. But again, appreciated every single person who's been here, who's interacted, who has made comments. I appreciate those that are like OG, that are new. I haven't seen it before, and I really hope that you subscribe and you like the video and you subscribe so you be kept up to date with future videos that I do. I don't just do them on this mental health issue. I do them on Christianity, and you're more than welcome to come and have a discussion, input on that. Regardless of whether you agree, disagree, and we can discuss all of those types of things. And I really appreciate those that have been here and put their their thoughts into this into this video. And I really I'm going to take on board and now look into the fasting side and see what kind of benefits that I can gain from that. Because if that is something that that can help my physical and my mental well-being, then it is something that I would like to look into. Because as I've said, I don't want to be going down the medication route, and I'm at this time and for since, well, I've never taken the medication, so it is something that I'm desperately trying to avoid and not go down that route. So if there are things that can help me and that can help me not have to deal with that and take those, then obviously I will look into it. And so certainly the fasting is okay. Tongji states, look up autophagy. It happens when you fast, very beneficial to the body and how it repairs itself. Okay, so that is certainly something I will look into. And in fact, actually, I will do that before the next video that I do, because like I say, there was more than one person that spoke about how the benefits of that. So I've definitely definitely look into that. And actually, I think that might be something that, you know, we can look into together and look at the benefits and maybe the negative sides of fasting, because I'm sure that there will be negatives, and maybe there isn't. So let's have a look at that to see if there are positives, if there are negatives to fasting. What kind of thing is that going to help? Is it just a physical, or is it like a spiritual, mental thing that can that it's going to benefit? But yeah, it's been fasting can be challenging at the beginning. Yeah. So when we're talking about fasting, are we talking about fasting from the beginning of the, like, sun up to sundown, or are we just talking like 5-6 hour periods, or how long are we talking about with the fasting? So this is something that we can certainly look into, how long that fasting should last, whether, you know, maybe a week, 10 days, is that too long? I don't know any of this information, so it's certainly something that I need to look up myself and have a look at. So I appreciate you giving me that kind of information. Okay, so autophagy starts from 14 hours of not eating. That seems like a long time to me to not eat. Okay, so, well, I am pretty good at fasting when I'm asleep. I've got to be honest, I don't sleep for that much, but yeah, I do fast when I'm not asleep. Sorry, when I am asleep. I think a lot of people do that, so at least I'm getting some kind of fasting. I didn't even realize that I was doing that, but I suppose when you yeah, you eat once a day. Wow. Okay. So you consume your whole daily calories in one meal, or do you, like? So would that, you eat one meal a day, but you maybe graze through the day and just have smaller amounts of food that maybe wouldn't classify it as a meal, but Doki, Doki, I'm on the seafood diet. Yeah, you see it and eat it. A bit like me, actually. I got a weight problem. Can't wait to eat. Yeah. I'm the funny one here. And now people are starting to do jokes. Okay. Yeah. I'm interested in this. This is good. This is a good thing. I will definitely look into this. But I am going to leave. And I really appreciate everybody for being here. Thank you very much for being here. I do appreciate it. We'll see you on my next video. Next video is most likely to be just a Christian one. And then we'll come back to the mental health thing. Okay, insulin leaves the body after about 6 hours after eating. So once a day gives your body time to rest, or you become insulin resistant, or so they say. I will definitely look into that, OG. That could be, you know, something that's a benefit of that. The trade-off to fasting is a lot of energy, a lot of it. Wow. Okay, so you have a lot of energy by fasting. Wow. Okay. Definitely have to see that. And it was good to see you, Tenji. Thank you very much for being here. I do appreciate you as always. You know that. And Doki, see you next time. Yeah. I'll see you on my next. Wow. Okay. So you've got energy after eating once a day. Okay, we're definitely going to talk about that. We're on that subject, because that's something that's interesting. Because, yeah, I would have thought that it would be the opposite way round, but let's certainly have a. I need to find that out. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate every single person that has been here. Please subscribe and like the video. Your subscribers, obviously, you'll be kept up to date when I go live. This week I can't have as long videos as I would normally like, due to my work, but from then on we'll go back to however long videos we need to have, and I'll try to be there. And if you need to speak to me, you can leave a comment in the comment section. You can send me an email. We can talk. If you need somebody, you're not alone. This channel is here. As you can see, there are people here that some have issues, some have mental health issues, others don't. But they are good people, and they're interacting, and you know, you are not alone. You have people you can speak to. You have people that will listen. We can find help for you if you need it. So please don't suffer alone. If you are suffering, please seek help. And if you know somebody that is, then there are things that you can do in order to, help them as well. And we can do that together. So thank you, every single person that has been here and watched, and I appreciate you, and I will see you on my next video.